am a failure. And I'm here today to inspire you to be a failure too. They say you can't judge a book by its cover, but everyone does it anyway. In fact, I bet you're all looking at me right now wondering why I'm here. You're most likely thinking, what did this little girl do to get a TED Talk? I'll bet you're waiting for me to tell you about my lemonade stand or the trash I picked up on the beach, so you could say, "Aw, how cute. She is adorable. That little girl is going to climb mountains one day." Well, I'm sorry to let you down, but this little girl has no intention of climbing mountains. I mean, why climb them when I'm capable of moving them? You see, I've been moving mountains since I was 8 years old. And while I have picked up trash on the beach and worked lemonade stands, I've also created and hosted my own events and fundraisers for the groups in my community that I care about. In just 3 years, I was able to raise over $43,000 and collect well over 11,000 items for groups in my community. And while that's pretty cool, the thing I'm most proud of is being able to reach thousands of kids and inspire them to go out and do good things. $43,000 raised. 11,000 items collected. Thousands of kids inspired. Sure sounds successful, for a 12-year-old anyway. So, you're probably wondering why I told you I was a failure. Well, I have literally failed my way to success. I wouldn't be standing here on the infamous TED Talk stage if I didn't fail a lot. Believe it or not, failure has probably led you to your successes too. Now that sounds crazy, right? Well, it makes sense once you understand that failure is not the opposite of success. It's actually the foundation for success. After a failure, you have two choices. You can either give up or try harder. If you're working on something that doesn't really mean a lot to you, you'll probably just give up when things don't go your way, in which case it doesn't make you a failure, it makes you a quitter. And in my opinion, that's even worse. If you're working on something that means a lot to you, you won't stop until you get where you need to be. Just like Henry Ford said, failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, only this time more intelligently. I've had the opportunity to begin again more intelligently a lot. Here's my story. I've always loved helping people, and I wanted to show everyone just how much fun it could be. I grew up doing community service with my mom, so I had a good understanding of my community and the needs within it. I knew that if I got more kids to volunteer, I would undoubtedly create a more kind culture among my peers. So, whenever I was 8 years old, I made my own community service club called the Better Together Initiative. I thought if I connected kids who wanted to volunteer with charities and organizations who needed volunteers, that would be a win-win situation. The charities would get the help that they needed, and the kids would get a better understanding of their community and the needs within it. That sounds like a great idea, right? Well, let's start it off good at least. My first outreach for the Better Together initiative was with a local organization that collects and distributes food to children who face food insecurities outside of school. I emailed the organization telling them about myself, my club, and asking if we could help with their next food drive. They immediately responded saying yes, and that they were very excited to work with us. I got 15 girls from my cheer team to work on this project with me. I was so surprised. None of them were aware that so many kids in their schools don't have food on the evenings or weekends. We worked really hard, and we got a lot of donations. In fact, we were able to fill an entire box truck. We filled their truck, and they taught us about a need in our community. Like I said, win-win. We all went home inspired, and we wanted to do more. So I got started looking for our next Better Together project. I made a list of organizations who had recently posted online about needing volunteers. I composed emails for each organization, introducing myself, my club, and outlining the ways that we could help them. They all responded, and the rejection emails were always the same. Aw, how sweet of you to offer help, but what we really need is, and there will be a long list of things that our parents could purchase to donate. Did they really think that we couldn't help because we were kids? Yep. Sadly, they did. Now, before we defend this with the notion that kids may not be able to do the task at hand, I want to assure you, I took this into great consideration and only offered my club's help for the tasks that were both appropriate for our age and our ability. Going to Target to buy paper towels with your parents' money doesn't quite have the same impact as using that roll of paper towels to gently wipe the tears away from a sad puppy that has been abandoned and looking for his forever home. Okay, maybe that was a bit much, but you get my point, right? See a need, meet a need. I mean, it's a great idea, but it doesn't really work for us kids. It seems like we pretty much have to meet the need in order to see the need, because most of our parents protect us from the bad things of the world. So we're often unaware of the needs some others face. We really can't meet a need if we don't even know the need exists. How was I going to learn and teach kids about the needs of my community if no one would let us help? I really wanted to quit. I was heartbroken. And to be honest, I was a little embarrassed. I had gathered all these kids to help me, and I told them how much fun it is to volunteer, and how thankful the organizations are for our help, and how good you feel after helping. And here I was, with a handful of rejection letters. I had failed. I had failed my friends, and I was about to fail the organizations that I wanted to help. I decided to look at everything one last time before I quit, so I could assure myself that I did everything that I could. And at the end of the day, it was out of my control. Maybe I could find a way to make this work. And if not, at least I could walk away with my head held high. As I was trying to figure out a way to let everyone down easy, my mom mentioned to me that a family that we knew recently discovered that their baby had a brain tumor, and they're probably going to need some help. She asked me if I had any ideas on how we could help. I instantly told her a bake sale would be a great idea. I kind of just started making plans. I called all the business owners and store managers I knew and asked if I could do bake sales at their stores. And they all said yes. I had 5 locations on board and 21 kids ready to help. I set a goal of $500, and in the span of only 3 days, we crushed the goal. We raised over $3,000 for the family. We did it. We were able to come together and make a difference. I was able to help this family because of what I learned through those failed volunteer opportunities. It was at this point that I realized I didn't need an organization to assign me a task. If I wanted to help someone, I could just help them. There was no limit to what I could do and no restrictions on who I could help. I was no longer heartbroken nor embarrassed. I was inspired and excited for my next project. I already knew nobody would take me seriously because of my age. So it's very important that I did my research and I presented a plan that nobody could resist. I knew this would be challenging, but I was up for it. I knew that I could do it. But I didn't know it would be this challenging. I made entire possible events and had to scrap it all because of miscalculation of costs involved, a problem with locations, or whatever random thing stood in my way. For example, my local minor league baseball team has a theme night where you can bring your dog to the ballpark. I had the amazing idea to host a dog wash to raise money for a local animal rescue. There was a few problems though. I couldn't have kids washing strangers' dogs. I mean, what if a dog bit one of the kids, or a dog had an allergic reaction to the shampoo? I mean, do you guys know how to get liability insurance for 20 kids and 100 dogs on a property that you don't own? Unfortunately, me neither. This failed attempt at a fundraiser taught me that you just can't plan for everything you want and need to get out of a fundraiser. You also have to plan for every single thing that could go wrong. I hit roadblock after roadblock, and it was exhausting. I felt like I had to fail 100 times before I could get it right. I just didn't know what was happening. But later, I realized that this is pretty common. It even has a name. Scientists call failing over and over until you succeed trial and error. Thomas Edison used this for his inventions. He failed thousands of times, but each time he learned something that would eventually help him create the light bulb that we all use and love today. I didn't fail quite that much, but I could totally relate. I, just like Mr. Edison, also learned something from every failed attempt that I had. I was compiling a mental notebook of the do's and don'ts for Better Together fundraising. And this saved me a lot of valuable time. Every Better Together initiative project failure served as a building block for the next. And before I knew it, things were going really well. After a few successful projects, I felt unstoppable. In the first 3 years of the Better Together initiative, I was able to create and host over 25 events and fundraisers for the groups of my community that I cared about. Even with this track record, I wasn't sure that I'd change the stigma that little kids can't do big things. But that all changed when I received a DM from a national anti-bullying nonprofit called Free to Love. They said that I was a good fit for their mission, and they thought I would fit right in with their project. With their support, I was able to do my biggest project yet. I partnered up with the Myrtle Beach Pelicans to create and host an anti-bullying theme night. I called it Strike Out Bullying, and it went really well. It outsold every other group in the 21-year history of the park. I was on a roll, and then in came COVID, which forced me, like everyone else, to regroup. All of my projects relied on in-person fundraising, and here we are, in isolation. Good thing I had a lot of practice failing. The first issue that I addressed was children dealing with stress brought on by the isolation. I was doodling and writing down future plans to distract myself, and I thought other kids may like doing the same thing. So I wrote a book. I packaged it with crayons and markers and gave it to the National Guard to distribute as they were giving out school lunches. 8-year-old Marley Mack would have never had the courage to write a book. She was too afraid to fail. 11-year-old Marley Mack had no problem writing a book. She wasn't afraid to fail. In fact, she looked at failing as her superpower because she learned something from every failure she had. 12-year-old Marley Mack is standing right in front of you, and I will continue to be successful because I'm not afraid to fail. I actually look forward to it. I sure have come a long way from the so cute little girl that everyone thought might climb mountains one day. Today, I move the mountains that get in my way. I mean, even COVID couldn't stop me, and I owe it to the lessons I learned as I was failing my way to success. I know you've all heard of Michael Jordan, Albert Einstein, Dr. Seuss, and now Marley Mack. But I'm not sure that you know what we all have in common. We have all failed. We failed a lot, and we've learned from our failures, and that's what's made us successful. The dictionary defines failure as lack of success, but I describe failure as the foundation for success. Don't be afraid to fail. The longer it takes you to reach your goal, the more you'll learn along the way, and the stronger you'll be whenever you get there. Now that I told you this, I wish you luck in all your future failures, and I hope you go out and try new things without the fear of failing. I'm going to leave you with a famous quote and some amazing advice. Fail early, fail often, fail forward. Thank you. I'm Marley Mack.